Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the vlog. Today you join me, I'm still in lockdown, I'm still at home. Lockdown is almost over now, so I'll soon enough be able to get back out into the landscape. But in the last couple of videos, a couple of eagle-eye viewers have actually messaged me and asked me did I change cameras, and yes I did. I've changed and finally gone down the route of going mirrorless, and I've gone for the Canon EOS R. And people were surprised that I'd gone for the EOS R. Why didn't I go for the R5 or why didn't I go for the R6? So I'm going to go through why I decide that the EOS R is better than the R6 or the R5 for me. Why did I decide to go for the EOS R? Well, for me, coming from a 6D, the EOS R is a big step up. I looked at the EOS R when it first actually launched. Around 2.5 years ago, I was lucky enough to be invited by Canon to go and have a hands-on, and it was really impressive. However, as I started to watch the news and see all the different stories that were coming about it, there was a bit of a backlash. The backlash was that it didn't have 2 card slots, and it couldn't shoot 4K video unless it was uncropped. Now, for me, I didn't really see those as big issues, but I said, you know what, I'll wait and see what the next iteration of the camera might be. Now, since then, Canon have come out with 3 other mirrorless bodies. They've come out with the EOS RP, which is the baby brother to the EOS R, and now they've most recently launched the EOS R6 and the R5. For me, the EOS R ticked more boxes than the R5 and the R6. And a couple of those, I suppose, really would be in regards to some of the technology that's within that. Firstly, the cards. Let's address that one. So for me, I didn't really need or see a need to have 2 card slots. I've never had a card that's going to fail on me. I'm not a professional photographer, but even talking to professional photographer friends of mine, they've also never really had a card that's failed on them. So the 2 card slots didn't really stack up to me. But the R6 and the R5 now do have 2 card slots. The R6 has 2 SD cards, and the R5 has an SD card and a CF Express card. The CF Express card is there because the R5 will actually shoot high-res 8K video, so it needs something to be able to store that. However, for me, I don't really want to shoot in 8K. And also, for me to get that card, you're looking at anywhere from 350 to 550 euro, just purely for that CF Express card alone, which is an additional cost that I didn't want to have to incur, and I don't need it anyway, but if I ever did want to then shoot in the high frame rate or the high quality video, I would need to have that CF Express card. I'd also need to get a CF Express card reader for my computer, so additional cost that I didn't really need. So that was the R5 wiped out from that equation for me. I didn't need that. The R6 has, like I said, 2 SD cards, but I don't need 2 SD cards. So the EOS R with 1 SD card slot was more than adequate and enough for me. The next thing I need to look at was the image quality. So coming off my 6D, it's around 21 megapixel image. The EOS R5 has a 45 megapixel image, and the EOS R6 has 20 megapixels, but the EOS R has 30 megapixels. So if I was to go for the R6, it's pretty much the same megapixels that I would have had in the past with my 6D. The R5 at 45 megapixels, fantastic. Do I need it? Not really. Plus, I'd have to upgrade my storage system here on my computer, because every single time I take a photograph, it's actually going to be taking 2.5 times thereabouts the amount that I'm currently taking in space from my images with my 6D. But at 30 megapixels, the EOS R for me was just enough, just the sweet spot for me to get an upgrade in my megapixels, but not going overboard, and again, not having then to upgrade additional areas in the computer or get additional hardware to be able to read additional cards. I'm a landscape photographer, so I'm out and about and I'm in the elements quite often. And my 6D, whilst it was never weather sealed, it was weather resistant. And I've had that out in pretty bad conditions. Those of you who watch my channel would see that, I go out whenever I can, so I can get bad weather, I can get good weather, but my camera gear gets basically put through the mill. Now, it's weather resistant, like I said, but not weather sealed. I've never had an issue. The EOS R6, as appealing as it was, it's still weather resistant. So it was exactly the same as my 6D, whereas the EOS R is fully weather sealed. So was the EOS R5. So straight away for me, there was a box tick there that the EOS R was the winner from that one, because it gives me the opportunity to be able to get out and not now worry that in case I get caught in a deluge of rain or anything like that, that my gear potentially could be damaged. Something I never had on my 6D was an EVF, and an EVF is a electronic viewfinder. I remember first time using that was when I was at the launch of the EOS R, and I looked through the viewfinder and it blew me away. Now, that's something that's been there for a long period of time, but for me as a Canon user, I hadn't used it. I used it on the R and I thought it was really, really good. A couple of months after that, I got an opportunity to try the EOS RP. And whilst that also had a EVF, it had a lower quality EVF. So I was looking at the difference between that and the EOS R. It was phenomenal. Now they've come out with the EOS R5, which I think is for 5.6 million pixels or megapixels of an EVF, whereas the EOS R has 3.4, I think it is, and then the EOS RP had 2.6. But the EOS R6 has exactly the same as the EOS R. So if I was to go for the R6, I'd get exactly the same EVF. There'd be no reason for me to kind of get an upgrade from that. So again, that ticked the box for me. It gave me something I didn't have. It was more than adequate. And since I've been using the EVF, it's actually phenomenal what you can do and the benefits that it can give you as well from a photography point of view. Another difference between the cameras was this. On my 6D, you've got an LED screen that's on the top. It gives me some key information. That's on the EOS R. It's also on the EOS R5, but it's not on the RP and it's not on the R6. So at a glance, it's very easy for me to be able to look at the camera and see what my settings are from the top area here, rather than having to go into the other settings to see what they are. You also got a handy little light, so if you're on nighttime photography, you can turn on that light momentarily, you can leave it on. So again, not a big one, but it was very helpful and handy for me. Now, something else as well that I hadn't got on my 6D was an articulated screen. So an articulated screen is a screen that you can fold out. I'll show you here. So there's your screen in the back of this. If you don't know already, you can fold out your screen and you can rotate that and have a different viewpoint if you want to be able to get up high, down low, or even if there's a restriction from a reflection point of view, it's actually very helpful as well to be able to compose your image. Didn't have that on the 6D. It is on the R, the RP, the R6 and the R5, but for me having this as well, and it was built into that camera already, another bonus that I figured, you know what, this could be helpful for me, and it has been helpful as well so far. It also has one of the bigger screens as well. From a spec point of view, it's a 3.15 inch screen. On the R5 it's 3.2, whereas on the R6 and the RP it's 2.95, so it's a bit bigger of a screen as well to help you be able to review your images and compose your images while in the field. Now, frame rate was never really something that I was interested in because I'm a landscape photographer. I never really have a use for a fast frame rate. However, looking at these cameras, they've got some exceptional features that are within them. Now, the 6D, like I said, that I use is for landscape photography. Okay, every so often I might try my arm at some wildlife photography, but it's never really something that I'm going to use on a regular basis. If I do want to have that though, the EOS RP has 5 frames per second, the EOS R has 8 frames per second, and then the R6 and the R5 are 12 frames per second manual, and then you can go 20 frames per second electronic, which I think would be phenomenal if you were in the market for having something with a fast frame rate, because that's exceptional. So, but for me anyway, the EOS R ticked that box. I didn't need something that was exceptionally fast, so there was no need then for me to be able to go and spend more money for something I wasn't going to use. In-body stabilization, or IBIS as it's called for short, is a fantastic feature to have in a camera. If you use a lot of handheld shots, it can be great for you because then you're getting stabilization in the camera body. Combine that with stabilization in the lens, you can get anything up to 6 to 8 stops of extra control on the camera. For me, I suppose really, looking at what I use it for, I'm primarily on a tripod, so I didn't need to have IBIS built in, but it is on the R6 and the R5, and I do believe it's quite good, but again, it wasn't something that I needed, and I didn't have to really consider it then as well from my buying choice. As I'm a Canon user, I wanted to be able to use my existing EF lenses on this body. So you're able to get a mount adapter. It's an EF to an RF adapter, and that will allow me to be able to use all of my existing lenses, and then as time will go on, with the new RF lenses, which are absolutely beautiful, I can then eventually swap out my lenses to have a lens that would fit onto this. But with the adapter, and I got the adapter with this camera here, it adds an extra little bit, tiny bit of length onto the whole camera, but it doesn't affect performance. There is no slowdown, there's no delay, there's no lag whatsoever. All effectively is just an extension to give that, because the positioning of the sensor on the mirrorless camera. So I can use all my existing lenses. The investment that I have in my glass will automatically transfer over onto this. So that's why I said with Canon, because it was perfectly good for me. Again, like I say, I don't have then to go off and buy a whole new different set of lenses. If I had gone down the road of changing over to Sony, I could have also used my own lenses, but then you're using a non-native system on another camera body, so you will get slight lag, I think, in regards to that. So for me, wasn't a big thing. I can use all my lenses, like I say, and moreover, I can always change it afterwards. The menu system as well on Canon, if you're a Canon user, the muscle memory you build up is actually very, very quick, but very interesting, because when I first picked up the EOS R, I knew my way around the camera. When I used the RP, I knew my way around the camera. So rather than me having to learn something new for the next time, I can just basically pick up the camera. It's like as if we were best friends for a long period of time, and I can go off and use that. If I change camera now, I have to go off and learn everything and learn all the menu systems. And from what I hear, other camera manufacturers' menu systems aren't really the most intuitive. So for me, I didn't want to have that additional hassle. Stick with what I know, because I want to be able to get a shot quickly when I need to, rather than faffing around trying to find where the different settings and stuff are. The advantages of a mirrorless system as well is that you've got a smaller, more compact body. You also got a lighter weight system. Now, okay, granted you can reduce the weight in the body, but you're still going to have the weight in the lenses. But even at that, you know, the mirrorless system here from Canon is exceptionally good. It is lightweight, and again, like I say, you know, when you're out and about, you put it into the camera, into the bag, it takes up less real estate as well. So for me, you're looking at the mirrorless, it was definitely the way to go. Now, if I ever do want to record video as well, I can record in log on this camera. The advantage of recording in log is it's almost like a raw image type, but for video. So it gives you a lot more flexibility then when you bring that into, like, say, Final Cut Pro or Premiere Pro, and that you're editing your images, or editing your video, sorry, you've got more to play with then as well, because effectively, like I said, it's like a raw file. So that's great if I ever want to use this for video, and I've seen video being used from these and it is exceptionally good. So I will end up recording some video anyway with this, because it's exceptionally good quality. And my final buying decision was price. So looking at the R5, as beautiful as it is, I couldn't justify the price tag. I mean, in Ireland it's €4,900, which is exceptionally high. However, it's not high for what you're getting, and you know, okay, you will be getting a very, very good quality camera with 8K video, you know, a lot cheaper than what you'd normally expect to pay for something that quality in a professional camera range. But for me, there was no need for me to spend that money, because it was a bit of overkill. When I looked at the R6, so that was €2,600, and I was thinking, okay, you know what, that's still expensive, but it's almost half the price of the R5. But then I looked at the EOS R, and the EOS R was €1,700. So again, a big drop in the price, and again, with the advantages, like I said earlier on, for me, it was the better option. Now, I was very lucky getting this camera as well, because I spotted one online. I bought this second hand, and I actually got a deal. Okay, it's a reason for gas, reason number 34. The price was too good to refuse, but this price was too good to refuse, so I had to take it up. And I'm delighted that I ended up purchasing this camera, because so far it's been exceptionally good. The features that I've mentioned earlier on have been really, really nice to be able to use. And I'm looking forward now as well to kind of getting it out when we get back out of lockdown, to really put it through its paces, because so far it's been an exceptionally good camera for me, and I'm really excited to see where it takes me from my photography journey. So that's pretty much it. That's why I decided to go for the EOS R, not the R5, not the R6. And yeah, what do you think? Have you moved cameras? You know, did I make the right decision? Should I have gone down the route of the 6 or the 5? Let me know in the comments. I really would like you to know. And yeah, if it's your first time on the channel, please hit that subscribe button, give me a like, give me a comment. And until the next time, Slán go fóill.